This is Survival Radio Network, and thank you so much for helping us to reach over 2 million downloads. You're listening to The Paula G Show, where we expand the mindset through worldwide conversations. You can check out our previous episodes of radio and TV shows by visiting paulagvoice.com. And for all things radio, join the Paula G Show group page. For all things television, you can like and view Paula G or My Journey with Paula G business pages. You can also post your questions or comments or concerns to either page, and I'll respond to you. You can email me at paul@paulagvoice.com, and please place in the subject line question or comment or concerns. Also, you can find us on iTunes, Mixcloud, TuneIn Radio, and Stitcher Radio. Follow us on social media. I'm so glad that you all have joined us. Much love to the artist V. Ferg for the opening and closing theme music for The Paula G Show. V. Ferg's music can be found on Spotify, iTunes, and Tidal. Y'all know it. Y'all know it. I say it every week. Isn't that right? Time, oh, Lord have mercy, is so precious. It is the one thing that you cannot get back. So for you to think it not robbery, to spend a little bit of your time with the Paula G Show is truly, truly appreciated each and every week as we prepare for these shows. We prepare with you in mind to make sure that as you're listening, when you're listening, after you're listening, you will know that that time was well spent. And tonight will be no different, as I'm excited to have my guest with us this evening. Also, I'm excited about my television show. I'm so glad that you all are supporting that as well. Make sure that you tune in on Thursday mornings at 11:30 a.m. WATC2, that's TOO.TV, right here in Atlanta. You can also download the WATC app. You can find us on Hulu, Roku, Apple TV, Truly, Google Play, YouTube, Facebook, digital antennas, also Genico TV, and we just picked up a station in Chicago. It's Comcast Lake 17, so we're really excited about being on that platform as well as other platforms throughout the South and the Southeast, the North and the Northwest, or North of the United States. So we are so excited about picking up those stations, and I have to give a shout-out to my producer, Jerry Voice Live, Positive Power 21 for producing My Journey with Paula G. I was actually on WATC last night, TV 57, last night being Tuesday night. I always go to the station every second and fourth Tuesday of the month for their nightly show of Atlanta Live, and it's just always a pleasure to be in studio because you meet so many great people. The host last night is my good friend Coach Caitlin. If she's listening, shouts out to her and her husband. They hosted last evening. It's always a pleasure to be on set with her, as well as the producer, Joanna McGee. So just a wonderful family over there, Jaime, Greg, Mike, just a wonderful family, and the two Pauls, Dylan, just a wonderful family over at WATC. So if you are listening, thank you so much for embracing me at WATC TV 57 right here in the Atlanta area. And also I want to give a shout out to the one who, gave me my start in radio, and that is none other than Mr. Clark Garrison. And many of you may know now at the time of this broadcast that he and his wife, they're dealing with some challenges. He's had some surgery to address a brain tumor, and we are continuing to keep him and his family lifted in prayer. And, Clark is an independent, he's an entrepreneur, he's an independent businessman. And he's the sole breadwinner of his family. So there is a GoFundMe that is posted on social media for those of you who want to contribute and show your love and your support for Clark Garrison. You can do so. You can go to either Clark Garrison, it's KLARQUE Garrison. You can go to my page, The Paula G Show, Paula G Voice, Jerry Garrison, Jeri, that's his wife, Garrison, and contribute there. We want to thank you all, SRN family and those beyond, for contributing and just helping to ease the burden of those medical bills. Any of you that have been on a journey of some major medical challenges, you know how those medical bills can really, really escalate. So we just thank you all so much for your contribution, for your love, and for your support. Well, this evening I am excited to have this gentleman with us. He is a veteran entertainment publicist who brings more to the global community than just entertainment. We're going to talk about that tonight. He brings to the table 50 years of being in the business. He's a humanitarian. He's a speaker. He's a mentor. He's a former fashion designer and filmmaker. And he joins us this evening for an episode of the Paula G Show. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Angelo Elerbee. How are you this evening, sir? And welcome to the platform.
I am so blessed for such a wonderful introduction. I am so blessed, and so thank you for it. And thank you for allowing me to come on to the show and be a guest. So thank you very much, Paula. And Paula, before we begin, I know Clark Garrison very, very well.
Oh, do you?
I know him very well.
World.
He gave me an offer to come and to do a radio show in the whole. He's a phenomenal person. I had absolutely no knowledge that he was ill, but I'm going to go to your page or his page, his wife's page, and I'm going to make a contribution. If I don't do it tonight, I'll do it the first thing in the morning.
Oh, thank you so
much.
I'm
really here for support.
Yes.
God bless him. He's a wonderful, 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 caring, giving individual. It's people like Clark that make people like me and you.
Exactly.
It's called opportunity. It's called opportunity.
You know, it is. It is because, as I mentioned, he gave me my first I am on radio. I am on television. I am in media because of Clark Garrison. You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. So thank you so much.
What? Let me tell you something. The God that I serve is such an amazing God.
Come on now.
And when you put things into God's hands, leave it there, you can walk away and know that you're in good care. I don't care about a doctor. I know that my doctor is Dr. God. And when I call on him and I tell him of my pain and my misery, he has always solved my problem, my pain, and my misery. I give nothing but thanks to the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost for saving my life and so many other lives, particularly when you're in a hospital and you can't do for yourself. I pray for him and his wife, and I would include him in my prayer tomorrow morning because prayer, I don't care what nobody say, prayer answers all my problems, all my worries, all my miseries. It goes away when I put it in my God's hands.
And isn't it amazing when you lift a prayer and the prayer that you lift is only heard by God? You might not have uttered it to anyone else, and it is only heard by God. And when you see the manifestation of the answer to that prayer, ooh.
Listen, we could stop this interview and just go to church. Because he is so magnificent. He's so glorious. I pray. I light a candle in my house every morning, and I pray for 45 minutes. I pray for the drug addicts, the alcoholics. I pray for everything that God created. When I pray and I finish I can go and do it. I ask God to take my hands, my mouth, just walk with me today. Walk with me, talk with me, relieve me, and show me the way. I'm in your hands. And when you're in God's hands, you can't go wrong.
You can't.
He gives you experience of growth.
Yes.
Those challenges are no more than an experience of growth for you to grow by. It's called experience. And you got to listen to him. You got to listen to him. You got to feel him and know him to know that he's working for you. I never will doubt him.
That is powerful. That is powerful. And I want to stay with that because what you just said was powerful. Can you share with us how God had? Because you are a man of God, and you are allowing him, and you have allowed him to use you over the years to speak to his people on different platforms. When I say speak, I don't necessarily mean audibly, but in a holistic sense. So from the global community side, how is God using you?
Let me tell you, I am no one. I'm nothing. I'm everything with him, and I'm nothing without him. I started my business with no money. I started working at the corner of my mother's basement in Newark, New Jersey, taking her old dining room table and putting it in the basement, and that's where Double Exposure was born. I had no money. I called the phone company and asked them to get a teenage line, so you know how long ago that was. I had a teenage line and a big dining room table, and that was my desk. And I went to work. My mother told me, she said, put it in his hands and go to work. She said, don't put it in his hands and don't work. She said, you got to make your steps too. Because when you make a step, he'll make a step. I said, okay, Mama, and that's just what I did. God is so amazing. When people go to experience God and get this experience of God, you'll never go back. I pray each and every single day for the drug addicts, for the alcoholic. I pray for everyone that's dependent on some kind of substance away from God, that they would come into a light, that God would enable them to see the light, come out of the dark and get into the light. I pray that. I pray for the people that are sitting in the hospitals that's worried about if it's life or death. And I tell everyone, you cannot just believe in that doctor, but you got to call on that saint. You got to call on that God to allow you to leave your worries and your miseries in his hands. I am celebrating 50 years. I'm only celebrated because he allowed me those 50 years to do what I do.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I've never advertised anything about no double exposure, nothing that I did. This is all from God's blessings. My clients have come and they have gone and they come back. That's because what I chose to do it 100%, not 50%.
Yeah.
You give it your all. And I'm not telling you that I was not met with trials and tribulations. You know, it's just like Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. He felt, I didn't know how I was going to get back up. But with prayer and understanding that he had my back, he allowed me to fall. He allowed me to look at why I fell. And then he gave me the ability to get up and start all over again. He's amazing. He's amazing. When you think in your mind that you're doing this, you're foolish. You're not doing it.
I love what you just said. You said he allowed you, because I wanted to sit there for a minute. He allowed you to fall. He showed you why, what went wrong, basically.
Yes.
And then how to get up. And that's faith, because as you're sharing, what I'm hearing is, like you said, you started with no money in the basement with a dining room table and prayer. And as you got up every day, God just either opened the door. I mean, he might have closed the door.
He closed a couple doors for me.
Yeah,
because I was stubborn.
And
I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna do it Angelo's way. He said, "Okay, go ahead and do it Angelo's way, because I'm gonna show you. I can show you better than I can tell you, Angelo.
Because you're not listening anyway.
Because you ain't listening now. And when you come back off of that floor and you get up and stand on your 2 feet, then you'll understand me. I got it. He would put people in front of me, so-called friends. Cause, you know, I suppose if you take the word friend and you split it in the middle, what did you get? A end of a friend. I have a friend in Jesus. I got it. All of these celebrities and people that I've traveled the world 2 and 3 times, met kings and queens. He said, I allowed you to do that. Don't you ever forget don't you ever forget how you got there and how you're going to get to the next level of your career. I got it. And I try to preach every time I get the opportunity to tell young people, if it's in a college, if it's in a high school, if it's in a grammar school, your beginning starts with the Lord. Then you have to fall romantically in love with yourself. You have to teach people how to love you and how to treat you. I got the lesson. I understand how. Like I tell people, I am romantically in love with Angelo Elerbee. And they say, oh, maybe that's a little cocky. No, it's not. I am confident because that confidence and that building, the building of confidence, came from my blessings. I tell people how I want to be treated because I'm not going to allow anyone to treat me any different than the God treats me.
Yes.
I got it. And then I have to share it. Because half of our job, or 80%, 90, 50% of our job is to share God's working word. We have to share Him. Mm-hmm. And a lot of us don't do that. We get to points and apexes of our success and believe we really got there. We did it on our own. You didn't. I'm telling you didn't.
You raise a good point. You raise a really good point because, we look at, like you were saying before, you look at the accolades, you look at the clients, and we can certainly talk about that. But you raise a good point about the foundation. How, so many people, they go through life, they struggle, they fall, they struggle, they fall, they struggle, they fall, and in some instances they give up. Yes. Because they're operating in their own space.
Yes, and then they want to become accusatory. They want to blame their managers, their mothers, their fathers for them not being successful. You got to blame yourself because you didn't listen to the man above. We want to always blame somebody for why we are in the place we're at. Yeah. No, you got to take your own trials and tribulations and say, I messed up. And God, please forgive me, because I do that. Yeah. You know that your mother and father taught you the difference in right and wrong. You know the difference in right and wrong. You know what you're saying is wrong. So why would you say it?
So you're 50 years. Yes. You're 50 years of success are the result of listening to that still small voice.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, very much. And then, I think it is a responsibility of parents to begin to educate and love their children while they're in the womb. Then their job is to raise them when they come from the womb with love and understanding, and not allow your children or your child to assume that you love them. You need to tell them, I love
come
you,
on, Angelo.
And I
come
thank
on.
you, and I love you. And my mother used to say, you're great because you're my child, but I want you to be greater. And then she said, I want you to be the greatest that you can possibly be. And when my mother passed and I stood over her, I said to her, Mama, like she was sitting up in my face, Mama, you ain't seen nothing yet. I'm going to do all of what you want me to do, and I'm going to be the greatest person I'm just going to be the best that I can possibly be. For you, Mama.
Yeah.
And I meant that. And I meant it.
And, I always speak to the power. I always believe that there are power in words. And, again, what you said was so true about parents speaking into the children. It starts in the womb, telling them that the parents telling them, their children, that they love them. I don't think some parents really understand the impact that has, that seed that is planted by saying it often and the seed that is planted by not saying it.
There you go. Because, do you raise your child from the infancy stages? Because, when they get about 5 or 6 or 7 years old, it's all molded in their mind as to how they're going to act, how they're going to conduct themselves, and how they're going to think. So you can't just have a child and believe that the child should raise themselves. You're the parent. You must teach, educate, stimulate them, and motivate them to an awareness that is non-existent in them. They need to know about what it is that they're about to enter into. And if the parent is not preparing the child, then they're lost. And that's why we're in the kind of crisis that we're in today with our youth. Disrespect. I even see on TV commercials the disrespect that children have for their parents. And then they electrify it by showing it on television. So these kids have absolutely no barriers of understanding what respect means to them. You got to raise your children from the womb. You got to teach them to read and to write. And this is only the reading and writing is only going to get them to the next level. They can take anything from you, but they can't take the education and your knowledge away from you.
Yeah.
So our parents got to start doing their jobs, loving their children and being providers and keepers and educating them, loving them and telling them that they love them and not assuming that the child knows that, because they don't know that until you tell them, until you whisper in their ear each and every single day. It's important.
It is. It is. I think you have shared a bit, but I want you to share a bit more about the wisdom that you have gained or the wisdom that you have learned about the journey or through the journey of inner self work.
It has been so very, 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 very hard in the beginning. I didn't understand. I didn't understand anything about America, existing in America, nothing. I didn't. I think I was very deprived. Why my mother gave me love and gave me God, and she gave me what she could. And then I had to learn it on my own. And what I learned the most, and excuse my redundancy, I learned that no one is going to love you like God, and you're going to love you. And when you begin to fall romantically in love with you, you can take your dreams and turn them into realities. Now, I'm not going to tell you that it's going to be easy in doing it, but you have to pursue it, and you have to learn from those experiences, all the bad ones, the good ones, and the ones in the middle of it. It only matures you, gives you growth. It gives you a new outlook of life. It was so hard in the beginning. I was a young guy that I was so in love with my mother, and I wanted my mother to have another kind of life. I wanted her to have all the riches and jewels and whatever she wanted in her life, because she was that kind of mother. And so when at 16 years old, I went to her and I said, "Ma, I want to go to Paris, France." And she said, "Boy, if you don't get out of my face." I said, "Mama, I want to go to Paris, France. I can go over there and model, and I can make $100 an hour." She said, "Okay, I'm going to take you to the doctor in a little while." I went on to tell her. So she said, I must have nagged her for like 2 weeks. She says, "I'm going to tell you now, if you go, you can't call me and ask me." I went to Paris, and I lived in Paris for 2 years. One of my first attempts there was not good at all. I didn't make any money. I wound up frying chicken and cutting up collard greens in by the Champs-Élysées in Paris. But then I took some new pictures. I was sending my mother like maybe $6,000 a week. I was able to buy my mother a home when I was 18 years old. I conditioned myself because I had a goal in mind, and the goal wasn't for me. The goal was for my family. I wanted better for my family. I didn't want them to struggle like I saw, because I was the youngest of 6. So all my brothers and sisters, we all had to work. My mother didn't play around with contributors. She believed that if you sat at her table and you ate her food, you needed to contribute. And so she instilled that in me at a very early age. And so my goal was to satisfy and to make my mom happy. And so I did. When I came home, she must have hugged, and and then once we bought the house, I was able to, I had enough of money to go and buy furniture for all the rooms and living room and dining room, and that was another goal. Yeah. I was making her happy. I have made my mom happy only because she made so many sacrifices. And as I grew up and I grew into adulthood, I understood that it was all about sacrifice. Yeah. You got to give a little, you got to take a little, and you got to lose a little. I continue to apply that same kind of energy to this day. I still, and I'm going to want to learn and be motivated until the day I die. Things are forever changing, and I don't have to be here. Do you understand? This life is a gift from God. It's a given. He gave it to you. And so I want to inspire young people to keep their eyes on the prize. I understand how rough and how hard it is, but when you separate the negative and you come to the positive and you stay in the positive lane, it's not important that you win every race. It's just important that you stay in the race long enough, you would eventually win that race. So I'm motivated, and I go on that, and I tell people every single day, just prepare yourself to win. And be happy for someone else when they win, because we all have our time to win. But you got to be prepared to win. You got to have knowledge. You got to have understanding of where you want to be in life, and that's the goal. I hope I answered your question.
You did, and I think it's so important. A lot of times, people will launch out on what they believe their vision, their dream, their passion is, and doing so without the foundation of faith, and without that inner love, like you said, being romantically in love with themselves.
Yes.
And because of that manifests into their business. When I was asking about the journey of the inner self work, can you speak to how important that is when it comes to business decision making, getting back up on your feet?
It is so everything. It is everything to me. People think that I've had it very easy, but I've never had it easy. And
because of all of your successes on the outside.
Yeah, from the outside. But they didn't know what I had to get
to
here.
Go through.
And I'm still trying to get there, if you understand what I'm saying. I don't want to be comfortable in life. I don't want to be comfortable in life. I want to strive until I can't strive anymore. And I want to give back, and I want to give back, and I want to give back. Because for me, that's a part of God's assignment. He assigned us to take care of one another.
Yes.
We got to begin to do that. And particularly people who look like you and I. We have to begin to share knowledge, begin to network, and help each other and not be jealous of one another. We can't do that any longer. We lose out. We have a slave-like mentality to believe that we can't achieve and that we can't help one another. I don't know if it comes from slavery or where it comes from. But we as a people must begin to unite, have an appreciation to each and every single one of our goals. And we got to help each other to reach that goal.
And whatever those goals may be.
Whatever your goals may be, whatever they are. But you have to give it back, and you got to share it. We got to stop talking about people, all the negative things. Just remove it, rebuke it,
right,
and stay
clear.
And
share. Because you've written 2 books.
Yeah.
Ask Angelo, an inside look at the entertainment industry from a PR guru, and The Sense of Success, which are both available on Amazon. Can you share maybe a couple of nuggets that you have shared in the book?
Sure. I started double exposure publicity, and it was a hard road. But one of my first name clients was a young girl by the name of Mary J. Blige. And I think it was Jackie Reinhardt or Puffy who called me up and said, Angelo, she was having a rough time in the beginning of her career, and we need you desperately. So I gave them the appointment for her to come up and meet with me, and she was an hour late. So when you got on the elevator, you got off on my floor. So I'm standing at the elevator because I'm now going to lunch. And she said she came in. She didn't know who I was. She didn't know what I looked like. And I'm standing at the elevator. She says, I'm Mary J. Blige, and I'm here to see Angelo. I said, are you here to see Mr. Elerbee, or are you here to see Angelo? Because there's no Angelo here. There's a Mr. Elerbee here for you.
Come on.
She said, oh, yeah, right. I said, well, girl, you're kind of late. You're an hour late. I'm going to lunch. You want to try this again tomorrow? The next day, she came an hour earlier. We sat, we talked, we shared. She told me of her trials and her tribulations. I told her of my trials and tribulations because I think it's important that people share so they feel comfortable. And we've been friends. Now I can say we've been friends for 20-some odd years. And I tore her from the beginning to the end, tore her apart. I made her look at her videos, all of the videos and the interviews, and helping her read articles. And then I sat back and I did a reading time with her. We read every kind of book, and we started out reading the Bible. And we went on and we read book after book after book. Question after question after question. This is how you sit at the table. This is how you answer a question. Today, Mary J. Blige is an Oscar nominee.
Yes.
For a film. She is now the president of her own production company, making films on other people at this point. That, when I start to see, what I do is not a cup of instant coffee. But I serve brewed coffee for a lasting taste. I don't do anything that's instant. So Mary's development took time for her to get to where she is now. And it's the same thing with any other. Alicia Keys was the same way. You have to really take time to want to know your client. You can't just come in and want to teach a class and you're not getting into them and they're not getting into you. You have to really focus. And you really have to. I used to, they would give me their bios and their music. And I said, I don't listen to music and I don't read bios because the bios are full of lies. So what I want to do is I want to talk to your mother. I want to meet your father and your brothers and sisters. And from that point, I can draw my relationship to relate with you and to talk to you and understand where you're coming from. And now we can turn around and do a bio down the road. But now I need to know you on a one-on-one. I need to know you on a one-on-one. So what I find is I'm not just a publicist. I find myself not just a publicist or a manager, but I try to be a family member. And when I'm a family member, they're going to share all of their trials and their tribulations, and I'm able to educate them and show them how to go in and go out. And with Mary, I begin to read the Bible to her.
Wow.
And I remember Puffy saying to me, Angelo, do you have her reading the Bible? I said, yeah, I have her reading the Bible. I said, and if you come up here, I'm going to have you to read it. There's nothing wrong with the Bible because when you can read the Bible, that means you can read any other kind of book.
Yeah.
It's
that foundation. Yeah, it's that foundation.
It's all about the foundation.
It's that foundation, and I love the analysis of brewed coffee versus the instant coffee.
Yeah.
You know, starting from scratch and building from there, because I believe nowadays we're missing so many of those elements. Even as you said, when she entered, instead of addressing you as Mr. Elerbee, a first name basis, and that's like nails on the chalkboard to me. But that's a whole other conversation.
I worked for that Mr. Elerbee in that period after that R. I worked for that, so that's what you're gonna call me.
Yes.
Even in my gated community here, one of the people called me and they said, I need to speak to Angelo. I said, you got the wrong number. And I said, if you ever call my number again, trying to address me as Angelo, we're gonna have a problem. Don't call me Angelo until I tell you can call me Angelo. Exactly. Until you've been given, and even that right there is a lost etiquette art as well. I have to teach you how to treat me.
Yes, treat me. Yes, teach you how to treat me.
Yeah,
I'm
not gonna. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. Can you speak to it, because it goes along with the same line? I think, this is so powerful what you're sharing about that the brewed coffee. These things take time. You have to build on a foundation of faith and principles and etiquette and so forth. The power, your perspective on the power of soft skills, because we're talking about, building personalities and building character. Can you speak to the power of soft skills? Because some people might not even know what soft skills are anymore.
You know what? And what I want you to do is explain to your listeners what soft skills are, and I'll come behind you. Explain to them what a soft skill is, because they don't know what it is.
Yeah, so those soft skills, even what we were talking about as far as the addressing, that's one example that I'll lead with my
Yes.
perspective of soft skills. That's one example of when you are addressing someone. There's certain environment. If it's someone who is your peer, yes, you can address them with by their first name or what have you. But if it's someone that is of stature, if it's someone that is more seasoned, if it's someone that is more noble, it just respect.
Those are the things
Respect.
that your mother and your father should have taught you.
Yes.
But since they
Those
didn't,
basic
I
things.
will.
Yes. 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 And I think that is where we can start a prime example of just the Mister, addressing as Mister, addressing as Mrs., the pleases and the thank yous, the
All of
being
those
aware.
things still matter in
Yes,
this day and
thank
time.
no,
As much as they
writing a
don't
thank
want to
note.
believe that they do, they do.
Yes, yeah,
I
a
am trying to,
handwritten
yes,
thank you,
thank
not a
you
printed,
note.
a cursive. That's a whole
Yes.
other conversation.
Yeah,
Cursive.
okay. Hmm. I had
you
a
know.
girl in my office because she had this fabulous penmanship cursive. I would tell her,
Mhm.
these are the people that I want you to send personal notes to, and I'll sign them. It means the
Yes,
world. People don't
it
have
does.
to do nothing for you.
Yes.
I would hear somebody on the phone the first time that I would call them, and they would be coughing and a whole other bit and a da 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 da. And you know what I did? I would go to the drugstore and I would get like 14 different cough drops, and I would get this and I would get that, and I would send it to them. And they called me. They said, Angelo, did you send me over all of this? I said, yeah.
Mhm.
Don't you know that would take? I have relationships that have lasted 30 and 40 years based on simple things that I've done.
Yes.
Sending someone flowers. I went to dinner with some people that wanted to meet with me, and it was 4 women, and I brought 4 bouquets of white roses because white roses are my favorite rose, and they was like,
Mhm.
"Why are you doing this?" Because you took your time out to have a meeting with me,
Yes.
and this is my way of saying thank you,
And
and they were so
it
in
develops
awe.
the relationship. Yes.
But yes, I got the job. I mean, I got the client that I was looking to get based on a mannerism, just based
Mm.
on a mannerism.
Mannerisms. Yes. Yes.
You
And I
got
think
to treat
so
people the way
important.
you want to be treated.
Want to be treated.
Yeah, it's
And,
so important.
speaking of that, as as time has evolved, and we talked about the how to properly address individuals who are of a established an established manner, and those who are notable, but also, and this is another area for me. How has fashion changed over the years from the aspect of elegance and sophistication and
Well,
etiquette and style?
it's just it's wow. It has
Mm-hmm.
changed so drastically. People
Mm-hmm.
become so comfortable in their own skin, with no pun intended, because that's all they're showing these
Mm-hmm.
days is skin.
Yes. Yes.
It's bothersome to me that you have to believe that you have to go out and put your whole body on exposition for people to look at in order
Mm-hmm.
for you to get some attention. And the attention that you're going to get is the same attention that the next girl who does the same thing that you did going to get. It's going to last for 2.5 minutes on your Instagram and 2.5 minutes on your Facebook, because it's going to come and go.
Mm-hmm.
Class and elegance, the stylization of an artist for me is so very important. And when you believe that you can just go out and do what the next person do, you have to learn and define the word originality. You have to
Mm.
understand that you have to be you. You can't be no one else. There's already one Beyonce. We don't need another Beyonce. There's already one
Mm-hmm.
Mary J. Blige. We don't need another Mary J. Blige. We need for you to be original. We need for style and fashion forward to come back and take presence. We don't sell
Mm-hmm.
music anymore. We sell image.
Mm.
And,
Yes.
and and I mean, I don't know. I mean, music is not being sold. We go to buy magazines. We see magazines. We go online. The first thing that we're selling is an image, and then maybe we'll listen to the music. So it's just really important that people separate and stop and diversify. Stop trying to be
Mm-hmm.
what everybody else is being. Be original. Be who you are. That's so important. And people are trying to emulate the next person. Well, you're a
Right.
copycat. We already got that. Come with something else new. And that's for the
And
gospel
be
community.
original.
And be original. That's for the gospel community as well. That's for every genre of music where
Right.
people are trying to be in competition with the next singer. Be in competition with you. Compete with yourself.
And do you, and just
And
do
do
you.
you. Yes.
You know, you are a graduate of a school that was my dream school when I was 16 years old. The
Are you
Fashion
serious?
FIT. Oh my God! Well, you know, my undergraduate degree is, you know, and I'm dating myself. So it was the undergraduate degree is clothing, textiles, um, fashion merchandising with a concentration in clothing, textiles, and fashion merchandising.
Really?
Because back then I went to North Carolina A&T, and back then the textile industry was huge. So you
Yes.
could take that degree and you could go into the textile industry, or you could go into the fashion industry. So you
Mm-hmm.
know, we're talking what, mid 70s. Fashion Institute was just, I was just enamored with that. Your work has been in Vogue, it's been in Essence, Women's Wear Day, all these magazines. I remember reading. You're taking me back with these. Women's Wear
Me
Daily.
too, girl.
Uh, yes, you're taking me back. What, what do you feel was the most fascinating part about fashion during that era?
Do you know, I think for me, I was able to be myself and create from within. I was a student at FIT and graduated from FIT, but I hated every day of it because
Mm.
I had already been programmed. I knew how to make my patterns. I knew what it was to sketch and all the other things, but then I had to be retaught all over again the right way.
Yeah.
So I
Mm-hmm.
would take a Vogue pattern and change the sleeve or change the back or whatever, whatever. And so they asked me to bring some of my things in. Oh, this one teacher, I could not take this lady for, I could take her for 2 minutes in the class, but she was the best thing that ever happened to me. She was the best thing that ever,
Yeah.
she critiqued me and
Mhm.
critiqued me until I just said, I think I'm going to quit. She said, if you quit, I am going to call your mother. And I've met your mother before. So
Yeah.
I finally, before I went to graduate, I had met this guy by the name of Jean, and John, they called him Jean, and he had a store
Mm-hmm.
called John's and Company in Millburn, New Jersey. And he saw my work, and he said, Angelo, can I take your evening line and put it in the store? And I was like, are you serious? He said, yeah. He said, do you want to do it on consignment, or do you want me to buy it? I said, we could do it on consignment. Well, the evening stuff went off so well that he introduced me to Lords and Taylors and some other stores. So I sold in a
Yes.
lot of department stores. But the training, I mean, it's good to go and get that training, but it's also good to take your own creativity and apply it to the training.
To the
Um,
training.
yeah, it's like that's the way you win because these people, I mean, my professors, they were designers themselves. They were selling, they were
Mm-hmm.
doing what they were doing. And so I had to sit back, even though I thought I knew it all. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they just totally showed me
Yeah.
another route, another way. And so fashion has changed so much. But do you know, I think it just repeats itself.
Yes.
I don't throw away clothes. I don't, because it just constantly, like the bell bottom is back now.
Yes. Yeah.
The big
And you know,
baggy
there's so
jackets
many
are
looks
back
that are
now.
classic. Yeah,
Yes.
it was so classic. I remember I've always, as a young girl, I was always so fascinated with fashion. I think I had a lot to do with my aunts, because my aunts did not step out the door unless they were hooked from head to toe.
Do you
You
know
know,
what?
from head. They had the hanky, they had the fan. I
Yep.
can remember being taken to John Wanamaker's in Philly, Strawbridge and Crow, the Gimbals, all of
Do you know my sister, my oldest sister, who I love so much, was a fashion model. She was modeled for Ebony Fashion Fair.
Yes.
And my mom and my brothers and sisters used to give her so much praise. And really, because I was the youngest and spoiled, I wanted the same kind of thing. My sister's the one that got me into fashion.
Mhm.
I mean, from the
Mm.
design aspect, and then
Yeah.
somebody said, I think you can model. I couldn't get any kind of attention in the United States because I was so thin. But overseas, it was totally different. The body type was totally different. I went over there, and that's where I came back. My mom's house became my home because I was over there working. I mean, I worked all the pret-a-porters, all the fashion shows, and came back with enough money to take care. So I don't know. I just learned the importance at an early age to diversify.
Yes.
Get what you can get, leave that alone, and go on to something else and learn something else. So what I've been able to do is, do you know what? I'm gonna let. I have a plan, but my plans don't work. So I'm gonna follow God's plan.
And let him lead. And let him lead.
I'm gonna let him lead me the way he's been leading me for all these years.
All along.
I don't even talk about what I'm gonna do tomorrow. I'm gonna be thankful that He'll wake me up, let my feet hit the floor, the blood to run through my body, and allow me to breathe. That's what I'm gonna be thankful for, and anything else is what it is.
So as that journey manifests, how can the audience stay connected? How can we stay connected with you?
Sure, they can go to my website, which is gxxnyc.com, or either they can go to elebeeelegance.com. Elerbee Elegance has all of my candle lines, the fragrances, the T-shirts, the bags, the whole other bit. The Double Exposure is really about PR, the clients we represent. It's a 24-week artist development program, so that's where they can go to get that information. And I'm on all the social media platforms.
This has been a complete joy. I thank you so much for joining us. I thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for sharing.
Listen, darling, when you see Clark hugging for me, I'm going to take care of this tomorrow. Let him know that God got him.
Yes.
And tell his wife, don't worry. Don't worry. Just tell her, don't worry. Give it to God and watch the magic.
Watch the magic. We're going to watch the magic. We're going to watch God move in your life, and I just pray continued abundance. I pray as I pray with a lot of my guests that God will give you wisdom and continued discernment as He opens the doors of opportunity for you to walk through, as He uses you to bless whomever comes in contact with Mr. Angelo Elerbee, and that you will continue to bless and you will continue to grow in abundance yourself. Thank you so much. You are welcome back anytime, and I appreciate it. I have to give my sister Lisa G a shout-out for making this connection. It has been a delight. I thank you so very much.
And you're delightful.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, until we connect again, Mr. Angelo Elerbee, embrace your journey.
God bless you.
God bless you. God bless you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Angelo Elerbee, just a wonderful, wonderful conversation. And when I'm doing these shows, I always tell you all worldwide conversations. I'm such a strong believer in worldwide conversations because of those of you who are listening here in the U.S., those of you who are listening abroad, everything that he said can apply to each and every one of you. Each and every one of you as you embrace your journey of life. It starts with faith. It starts with that foundation of faith. And as he said, he was such a wonderful example. He has accomplished so much in his life. He has accomplished so much and so many accolades, but he gives it all to God, and he is a strong believer in his faith, waking up every day and just letting God use him in the manner that God chooses to use him. Just a powerful, powerful example of that. And I hope you all got that. We are all on this journey of pursuing our dreams. We're on this journey pursuing our passion. We're on this journey of using our gifts. We're on this journey of fulfilling the call on our lives, the call of God on our lives, the call of what we believe. And a lot of times we are operating and moving forward in our own, energy. and not seeking that direction from above, and just, a powerful testimony to that. And, a lot of you often reach out to me and ask, my gosh, Paula, how'd you get in radio? How'd you get in television? How'd you do this? How'd you do that? And this conversation this evening is also a reflection of that. It's just an answer to prayer, a prayer that I lifted. Lord, if this be according to your will, open the doors of opportunity for me. Give me the courage, the wisdom, the discernment to walk through those doors and do what it is that you have put me in that particular position to do. So I hope you all got something out of that. I know you all got something out of that. I'm not going to say I hope, because I know you all got something out of that this evening as we spoke with Mr. Angelo Elerbee. Well, we're going to take a little break, listen to Paula's perspective, take a little commercial break, and listen to a little music, maybe a little bit of groovy smoothie, I think, this evening. And when we come back on the flip side, I will share some closing remarks for this evening. All right? If you are just joining us, you're going to have to go back and listen to this episode, because it was and is a good one right here on Survival Radio Network, the Paula G Show. Please make sure that you share this. Just a wonderful, wonderful conversation with Mr. Angelo Elerbee right here on the Paula G Show on Survival Radio Network. We'll be back in a few moments. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Paula G, and this is Paula's Perspective. What is your passion in life? What is it that gives you joy? What is it that you would do even if you didn't get paid to do it? What is it that you imagine yourself doing and you dream about? George Eliot states, it's never too late to be what you might have been. And as long as you're breathing and living, you can still fulfill some of those goals and dreams you set for yourself so long ago. Now, life has thrown some major curveballs, things that you never thought you could recover from, but look at you now. You are on the threshold of new beginnings. Yes, you. Don't be afraid to step out and try. Mistakes and failures may occur along the way, but it's part of the process. So embrace them, the mistakes and the failures. Learn the lessons from them along the way. Now, on the other hand, perhaps it is not quite your season yet. Perhaps you're not in the place or the position to begin to walk in your passion. So therefore, you have to identify the season that you are in. Now, it may just be your season of preparation. It is always said there's a time and a place for everything. And in the season of preparation, you can do something in preparation. Take a class, learn the business, practice, train, etc., all those things. When the desire is there, but the opportunity is absent, you can still prepare until the opportunity arrives. When the desire is there, but the opportunity is absent, you can still prepare until the opportunity arrives. So do something now to prepare for your tomorrow. This is Paula G, and this is Paula's Perspective. Music by Kevin MacLeod, Inner Light. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution. I am voice talent Paula G, and I would love to be a resource for you. Whether it's an intro, an outro, a commercial, PSA, tag, or more, consider Paula G the next time you have an audition or voiceover need. Email paula@paulagvoice.com. And remember, it's the voice that counts.
Looking for a cafe with a home-like appeal where all who enter feel like they are part of something? Visit My Coffee Shop, located in Eastlake, Atlanta, Georgia. MCS has a full breakfast and lunch menu, offering both hot and cold options, and is home of the amazing basil lemonade. But don't forget their assortment of freshly brewed coffees. Come on by at 2462 Memorial Drive, Atlanta, Georgia, 30317. We're pretty sure my coffee shop at East Lake will become your coffee shop, too.
Do you have tax issues, owe back taxes, or need tax relief? Contact L&B Tax Service today. L&B offers you over 15 years of expertise and first-class tax service for individuals, professionals, and business owners. With nationwide service, you can easily find a location near you. Contact one of our tax professionals through our website, lbtaxservice.com. That's www.lbtaxservice.com. L&B Tax Service Incorporated. Tax professionals that you can trust.
SRN Survival Radio Network.
Thank you all so much for joining us for this dynamic conversation this evening with Mr. Angelo Elerbee, veteran entertainment publicist. You know, I'm gonna tell you, that conversation was a wonderful conversation. It really wasn't even the direction that we or had originally planned on going in, but you know, a lot of times when you have a guest like that and you have an engaging conversation, you go with the conversation. For those of you who are aspiring to be radio hosts and do podcasts, you've got to listen to your guest and you have to flow with that conversation. Just a dynamic conversation. Go back and listen to it. Share it. Thank you so much, Mr. Angelo Elerbee, for joining us this evening. Also, Lisa G., thank you, my love, and prayers to you as well as you're going through some family challenges at the moment as well. But prayers to you, my sister. We love you. Rosalind, my engineer, thank you, darling. I appreciate you so very much. Don't forget to tune in to My Journey with Paula G. Thursdays, 11:30 a.m. WATC2. That's TOO.TV. You can also catch us on Roku, Hulu, Truly TV, Google Play, Genico, faith-based television. Did I say Apple TV? I said Google Play. Lake 17 in Chicago, if you're in the Chicago area, and Comcast, DeKalb 25, if you're in the DeKalb County area. We're picking up other areas throughout the United States as well as Europe, so we are so very grateful for that. And once again, shout out to Jerry Voice Live, Positive Power 21 for the production of My Journey with Paula G. Make sure you catch us right here on Wednesdays, 8:30 p.m., the Paula G Show right here on Survival Radio Network. And we want to, again, give some love and shout out to Clark Garrison as he continues his journey to healing after recovering from surgery from a brain tumor. Thank you all so much for joining us for another episode where we expand the mindset through worldwide conversations. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate each and every one of you. Much love to V. Ferg for the opening and closing music of the Paula G Show. Ladies and gentlemen, we love you. We appreciate you. Stay safe, stay healthy. Until next time, embrace the journey.